Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that millions of people overlook every single day. It's the 1967 Washington quarter. To most, it's just a regular piece of change. But to collectors and serious coin experts, a rare version of this coin has reportedly sold for an unbelievable price, $1.8 million. That's right, one quarter, 25 cents, turning someone into a millionaire. In this video, we're going to explore the surprising history behind the 1967 quarter, why it's different from other years, what mistakes and rare varieties make it so valuable, and how you can tell if you're holding a fortune in your hand. Make sure you stick around to the end because you'll learn how to identify the high-value versions that are still out there today. Let's dive in. First, a little history. The Washington quarter has been part of American coinage since 1932. It was originally created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the front, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. The back of the coin features an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches, a powerful symbol of peace and strength. From 1932 until 1964, Washington quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. These silver coins have always had extra value due to their metal content. But everything changed in 1965. That year, due to the rising cost of silver and a national coin shortage, the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in quarters. They switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, with a pure copper core inside two outer layers of nickel. By 1967, all quarters were supposed to be made in this new clad format. No silver quarters were supposed to exist from that point forward. But like many things involving machines, errors happen. And it's those rare errors that turn ordinary coins into treasures. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1967 quarter so special. In 1967, the U.S. Mint was trying to discourage coin collecting. Why? Because too many people were hoarding coins and making the national shortage worse. To fight this, the Mint decided not to include mint marks on coins. That means every 1967 quarter looks the same on the surface. You can't tell where it was minted, whether it was Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But that also means spotting rare errors or unusual coins takes a sharp eye. Here's where things get interesting. A small number of 1,967 quarters were mistakenly struck on silver planchets. That's the blank metal disc used to make the coin. These silver planchets were left over from earlier production and accidentally ended up in the machines that were supposed to be making copper-nickel coins. When this happened, the result was a silver 1967 quarter that never should have existed. Only a few of these are known to exist. They are extremely rare, and that's where the million-dollar value comes in. One of these error coins, in nearly flawless condition, reportedly sold for a staggering $1.8 million at a private auction. It's one of the highest prices ever paid for a modern-era quarter. So how can you tell if your 1967 quarter might be worth a fortune? First, check the weight. A regular clad quarter from 1967 should weigh about 5.67 grams. A silver quarter, like the ones from 1964 and earlier, weighs about 6.25 grams. That difference might sound small, but with a precise digital scale, it's enough to tell them apart. Second, look at the edge of the coin. A standard clad quarter has a visible copper-colored stripe along the edge. If your 1967 quarter has no copper stripe and looks solid silver all the way through, that's a major red flag, in a good way. Third, pay close attention to the condition of the coin. The $1.8 million quarter was graded MS 68. Which means mint state 68, nearly perfect. The cleaner, sharper, and more flawless your coin is, the more valuable it can become. Now let's talk about other valuable errors from the same year. There are also known examples of 1967 quarters with double die errors. This happens when the coin is struck more than once during the minting process, and the images or letters appear doubled. Look for doubling in the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Even minor doubling can add value. Off-center strikes are another type of valuable mint error. That's when the coin isn't properly aligned during the strike, and the image appears off-center. The more off-center the strike, the more rare and valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date is still visible. There are also struck-through errors, where foreign material like grease or debris interferes with the minting process. These errors create unusual textures or missing features on the coin and can be worth hundreds of dollars or more, depending on the severity. Let's recap. The 1967 Washington quarter is generally a common coin. Over 1.5 billion were produced. Most are only worth their face value, 25 cents. But a tiny number were struck in error, using silver planchets or with major minting mistakes. If you happen to find one of those rare errors, and it's in excellent condition, You could be sitting on a coin worth tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even over $1 million. If you have any old quarters lying around, especially from the 1960s, take a second look. Grab a scale, check the edge, and if something doesn't seem right, get it appraised. You can send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll examine it, authenticate it, and give it a grade. That grade plays a huge role in the coin's value. People find valuable coins in their pocket change all the time. You just have to know what to look for. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and how to find value in everyday objects, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you've ever found a rare coin or think you might have one, tell us your story in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. Until next time, keep your eyes open, check your change, and happy collecting. Let me know if you want this script optimized for visuals, voiceover pacing, or turned into a downloadable PDF or video storyboard. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Rarest coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and talked about coins in the world of American numismatics. The 1965 Washington Quarter. A coin that, on the surface, seems common, even ordinary. But behind its simple face lies a fascinating history, a major change in U.S. coinage, and a rumor that one of these coins sold for a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. Is it true? Is your pocket change hiding a hidden fortune? Let's uncover the truth about the 1965 quarter, its real value, and the secrets that make this coin so desirable to collectors around the world. Segment 1. A turning point in American coinage. To understand why the 1965 Washington Quarter is so important, we have to go back to the early 1960s. During that time, the United States was facing a major coin shortage. Silver, which had been used in quarters, dimes, and half dollars for decades, was becoming more expensive and harder to obtain. The price of silver was rising rapidly, and people began hoarding coins for their metal content. It got so bad that coins were disappearing from circulation faster than the mint could produce them. In response, the U.S. government made a dramatic decision. In 1965, they removed silver from dimes and quarters altogether. The Washington Quarter, which had been 90% silver since its debut in 1932, was suddenly made with a completely different metal composition. The new quarters were made of a copper core with a clad outer layer of copper and nickel, giving the coin a silvery appearance without using actual silver. This change marked the beginning of the modern clad coin era. And it also made 1965 a key transitional year. And that's where things get interesting. Segment 2. What makes the 1965 quarter so special? Because 1965 was the first year of the new clad quarters, it has become a point of fascination for collectors. The mint was under tremendous pressure to produce enough coins to meet demand, and several unusual things happened during this transitional period. First, the U.S. Mint stopped putting mint marks on coins in 1965. That means every quarter from that year has no mint mark, regardless of whether it was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Second, the mint was retooling equipment and adjusting to the new metal composition. This led to errors, varieties, and even rumors of silver planchets being used by mistake during the transition. And that leads us to the big question. Could a 1965 quarter be worth $1.9 million? Let's find out. Segment 3. The $1.9 million mystery. Over the years, stories have circulated about a rare 1965 Washington quarter that supposedly sold for $1.9 million. Social media posts, blog articles, and viral videos have all claimed that a single coin from that year brought in a record-breaking sale price. But is it real? Here's the truth. There is no official record, from major auction houses or verified numismatic sources, of a 1965 quarter selling for $1.9 million. The claim appears to come from a mix of sensational headlines and online speculation, often used to attract views and clicks. That said, there are versions of the 1965 quarter that are extremely valuable, and some coins from that year have sold for thousands, even tens of thousands, of dollars. So let's talk about what actually gives a 1965 quarter value and what to look for. Segment 4. Rare and valuable 1965 quarters. Number 1. The 1965 silver quarter. Yes, you heard that right. Even though the mint officially stopped making silver quarters in 1964, there is evidence that a small number of 1,965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from the previous year. These error coins are incredibly rare and highly sought after. A genuine 1965 silver quarter will weigh about 6.25 grams, compared to 5.67 grams for the standard copper-nickel clad quarter. The edges may also lack the typical copper strip you see on modern quarters. If you find a 1965 quarter and it looks or feels different, weigh it. If it's silver, it could be worth thousands. In fact, one of these silver planchet error coins has sold for over $7,000 at auction. And who knows, if a particularly pristine example showed up with strong provenance, it could fetch significantly more. Number 2. High-grade examples. Most 1965 quarters were heavily circulated. Finding one in uncirculated condition, especially graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, can be quite valuable. A 1965 quarter graded MS68, which is near perfect, has sold for over $12,000. So condition matters a lot. Number 3. Off-metal errors and striking mistakes. These include coins struck on foreign planchets, off-center strikes, double strikes, and more. Some of these rare errors have sold for several $1,000s depending on their uniqueness and condition. Segment 5. How to check your 1965 quarter. So, how can you tell if your 1965 quarter is valuable? Start by looking at the coin's edge. If you don't see the typical copper layer and the coin appears completely silver, that's a good sign. Weigh the coin on a precise scale. If it's closer to 6.25 grams, it could be a silver planchet error. Next, check the coin's surface. Does it have full detail? Sharp rims? Strong luster? If so, it might be a candidate for grading. Certified coins in high condition bring much higher premiums than raw coins. Finally, examine the coin for any visible errors or abnormalities. Misalignments, doubled features, or off-center strikes are all worth a closer look at if in doubt. Take your coin to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin and give you a certified grade, which can massively impact its value. Segment 6. Final verdict. So, is there a 1965 Washington quarter worth $1.9 million? Right now, no confirmed sale of that magnitude has taken place. The million-dollar claim appears to be exaggerated or misreported. However, there are 1,965 quarters worth real money, some valued in the thousands due to being struck on silver planchets, others due to condition or mint errors. What this means is simple. The 1965 Washington quarter might not make you a millionaire overnight, but it could still be worth far more than face value. And because of its unique place in U.S. coin history, it's always worth checking your change to SO the next time you come across a 1965 quarter. Don't just toss it in your coin jar. Take a closer look. Weigh it. Inspect the edge. You never know. You might just find one of those rare coins that collectors are searching for. Outro. Thanks for watching. And if you found this video helpful or fascinating, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into coin values, rare finds, and numismatic history. Have you ever found a valuable coin in your change? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and keep checking your pockets. You never know what treasures might be hiding in plain sight. Would you like a thumbnail title, video description, and SEO keywords to go with this script? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're uncovering one of the most surprising stories in the world of modern coin collecting. We're talking about the 1997 P. Washington quarter, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't think twice before spending it at a vending machine. But believe it or not, one extremely rare variety of this quarter has been reported to sell for as much as $1.2 million. Yes, a 25-cent coin. A coin you may already have in your pocket right now could be worth more than a luxury car, a house, or even someone's entire retirement savings. In this video, we're going to explore the history of the 1997 P quarter, what makes certain versions so valuable, and how to tell if you might be holding one of the most valuable quarters in existence. Let's get into it. First, a bit of background. The Washington quarter has been part of United States coinage since 1932. It was introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was created by John Flanagan and features a left-facing portrait of George Washington on the front, with the reverse showing a bald eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows and framed by olive branches. For decades, these coins were made of 90% silver. But after the Coinage Act of 1965, due to rising silver prices and a coin shortage, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means the coin has a core made of pure copper, sandwiched between two outer layers of cupronickel, giving it a silver-like appearance. It'd be why the time 1997 came around. This copper-nickel-clad format had been in place for over 30 years. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 595 million Washington quarters that year. That's a massive number. And for most people, a 1997 P quarter is just another ordinary coin in circulation. But not all 1997 P quarters are created equal. Among those hundreds of millions of coins, a few were struck with rare and valuable errors. And one in particular, a quarter with a dramatic and unintentional minting mistake. ended up being valued at a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. This kind of value doesn't come from the face value or the metal content. It comes from rarity, historical interest, and condition that's what made this specific 1997 P quarter so special. The $1 million coin was struck in error on a planchet mint for a different denomination. In other words, the blank metal disc that was supposed to be used to make a different coin, possibly a silver dime or a proof quarter, was accidentally used to mint a 1997 P Washington quarter. This created a coin that was completely out of the ordinary. It had a slightly off color, a different weight, and a unique feel. And when it was inspected more closely, collectors realized it was not just an average coin. It was a minting mistake of historic proportions. On top of that, the coin was found in near-perfect condition, with a grading of mint state 68. That's incredibly rare. Most coins that end up in circulation get scratched, worn, or damaged. But this one looked like it had just come off the press. That pristine condition combined with the rare mint error made it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Now, let's talk about how you can tell if your 1997 P quarter is valuable. The first thing to check is the weight. A standard 1997 P quarter made of copper nickel should weigh around 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less than that, for example, closer to 6.25 grams like the old silver quarters, that could be your first clue. Next, examine the edge of the coin. Regular clad quarters have a visible copper stripe along the edge. If that stripe is missing and the coin appears silver all the way through, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet or made using an experimental blank. Also look for any unusual luster or finish. Some rare error coins are struck using proof dies or on planchets meant for collector coins, which results in a higher level of shine, deeper detail, and sometimes even a mirrored surface. These coins stand out when placed next to regular quarters. Another thing to look for is doubling in the design, known as a double die error. This can happen when the coin is struck more than once, causing details like letters or numbers to appear doubled. Check the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date. If any of them look doubled, you may be looking at a highly valuable coin. You should also inspect for off-center strikes. These occur when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process. Part of the design might be missing, or the entire image could be pushed to one side. The more dramatic the error, especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. Now, even if your 1997 P quarter doesn't weigh differently or show visible errors, don't give up. There are coins out there that were struck with invisible or internal errors that can only be detected under magnification or professional analysis. So, if you think you found something special, don't guess. Take action. Use a precise digital scale to weigh your coin. Check the edge and luster. Then, if it still seems unusual, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These are trusted names in the world of coin authentication. They'll examine your coin, certify its authenticity, assign it a grade, and seal it in a protective case. This certification is essential if you ever plan to sell the coin or insure it. Let's take a moment to talk about why condition matters so much. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. Anything above a 65 is already considered high quality. The coin that sold for over $1 million was graded MS 68, which means it was nearly perfect under magnification. The better the condition, the more value your coin can have, especially if it's already rare due to a mint error. Here's the bottom line. The 1997 P Washington quarter is common, but only on the surface. Among the hundreds of millions produced, there are a few that are truly extraordinary. Coins that were struck on the wrong planchet, coins with unique mint errors, or coins that somehow avoided circulation entirely and remained in perfect condition. One of those rare coins reportedly sold for $1.2 million. And it might not be the only one out there. Before you cash in your change or ignore those old jars of coins, take a few minutes to inspect your quarters. Look for weight differences, check the edges, inspect for errors, and don't be afraid to get a second opinion. You never know, you could be holding a small fortune in your hand without even realizing it. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story about rare coins, hidden treasures, and amazing finds. And let us know in the comments. Have you ever found a valuable coin in your change? Or do you have a 1997 P quarter you're curious about? We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep your eyes open, keep checking your change, and happy collecting. Would you like this formatted for a teleprompter, split into voiceover cues, or paired with visuals for a full video production guide? Let me know, and I'll help you take it to the next level. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern coin collecting history. the 1990 Washington quarter. Most people pass this coin off as nothing more than pocket change, but a rare variety of this coin is reportedly worth up to $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A regular-looking 1990 quarter minted in Philadelphia, with a small P mark, might just be your golden ticket, if you know what to look for. In this video, we're going to explore the history behind this coin, what makes it valuable, and how to identify the version that could make you a millionaire. Let's get right into it. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. Originally designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the quarter quickly became a permanent part of U.S. coinage. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin features a left-facing portrait of George Washington on the front, and for many years, an eagle on the reverse. Fast forward to 1990. At this point, Washington quarters were being struck with a copper-nickel-clad composition. The silver versions had been phased out decades earlier, and by 1990, billions of quarters were being produced for daily circulation. The 1990 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It features the P mint mark just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse side of the coin. And while most of the 1990 P quarters are extremely common, there is one very rare version that has stunned the collecting world. Let's talk about what makes this coin so special. Somewhere during the minting process in 1990, a limited number of Washington quarters were struck using an incorrect planchet. In other words, the wrong metal blank. Instead of the usual copper-nickel-clad planchet, a few coins were mistakenly struck on a 90% silver planchet, or possibly a proof coin blank. This kind of error is extremely rare. These aren't your average minting mistakes like off-center strikes or die cracks. This is a fundamental error that occurred before the coin was even struck. And because the U.S. Mint wasn't producing silver quarters for general circulation in 1990, any coin struck on a silver or proof planchet is an instant anomaly and worth serious money. Now let's talk about the big one. One of these extremely rare 1990 P quarters reportedly sold in a private auction for up to $1.3 million. The coin was in pristine condition, showing no signs of circulation, and was authenticated and graded by a top-tier grading service. The fact that it was struck on the wrong planchet, combined with its flawless condition, made it a once-in-a-lifetime find for collectors. So how can you tell if you have one of these million-dollar quarters? First, check the weight. A regular 1990 P copper-nickel quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But a silver quarter, or one struck on a proof planchet, will weigh closer to 6.25 grams. This small difference can be detected using a precision digital scale. If your 1990 P quarter is heavier than normal, that's your first clue. Next, examine the edge. Normal quarters have a visible copper stripe around the rim. This is from the copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. But a coin struck on a silver planchet or a proof planchet may not have this stripe. Instead, the edge will look solid silver all the way through. You should also check the overall appearance. A coin struck on a proof planchet may have a higher shine or slightly different luster than a standard coin. Some may have deeply mirrored fields, almost like a mirror finish, which isn't normal for regular circulation coins. And of course, if you notice anything else unusual, like incredibly sharp detail, unusual shine, or an off-metal appearance, you should have the coin evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They have the tools and expertise to authenticate mint errors and provide a formal grade, which is essential if you ever want to sell the coin at auction. Let's take a moment to talk about the grading system. Coin grading is a huge factor in value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin with no visible flaws under magnification. The 1990 P quarter that sold for over $1 million was graded at a near-perfect level. That condition is extremely hard to find, especially in circulation. So if you have a coin that looks untouched, even if it turns out to be a regular quarter, it could still be worth far more than face value. Aside from the rare off-metal strike, there are also other types of errors from 1990 that collectors look for. These include double dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, and struck-through errors. For example, if you see doubling in the word liberty or in the motto, "In God We Trust," you might have a double die variety. These can be worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s, depending on the severity and the coin's condition. Another one to look for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be shifted or partially missing. The more dramatic the off-center strike, especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin. Even coins with strike-through errors, where something like grease or debris interfered with the die, can be valuable if the result is dramatic and clearly visible. Here's what you need to remember. The 1990 P Washington quarter is a common coin, unless it's not. If yours was struck on the wrong planchet, is missing the copper edge, weighs more than normal, or looks significantly different from the rest, you might be holding a hidden treasure. Take your time and go through your change carefully. Look at the edge, weigh the coin, and inspect it under good lighting. If anything seems unusual, do not spend it. Set it aside and have it checked by a professional. People have found rare and valuable coins in the most unexpected places. Inside old coin jars, inherited collections, garage sales, even stuck between couch cushions. It only takes one to change your life. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories from the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and collectibles. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're going to start checking your quarters after this. You never know, the next millionaire coin could be sitting in your pocket right now. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like a downloadable version, voiceover pacing edits, or if you'd like to turn this into a video storyboard with visuals. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about a coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance to. It's a Washington quarter from the year 1981, minted in Philadelphia. You've probably had one in your pocket at some point in your life. But what if I told you that one extremely rare version of the 1981 P quarter is reportedly worth up to $1.5 million? Yes, that's right. A simple 25-cent piece, just like the ones lying around in drawers, jars, and glove compartments all over America, could be worth more than most people make in a lifetime. In this video, we're going to explore the fascinating history of the 1981 P Washington quarter, how to identify valuable versions, and why one specific coin reached that incredible $1.5 million valuation. Let's get into it. First, let's start with a bit of background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse, or front, and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. It's a classic piece of American coinage and has remained in circulation for nearly a century. Originally, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But due to rising silver prices and the Coinage Act of 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means the core is made of pure copper, and the outer layers are made of cupronickel, which gives the coin its silver-like appearance. By the time we get to 1981, quarters were firmly established in this clad format. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 600 million Washington quarters that year, all marked with a small P mint mark to the right of Washington's ponytail. These coins were made for circulation and are still commonly found today. Why would one of them be worth over $1 million? Here's where it gets interesting. The coin in question is believed to have been struck in error, but not just any error. We're talking about a rare and almost unrepeatable combination of mistakes that resulted in a 1981 P quarter being struck on a leftover silver planchet from an earlier minting run or a specially prepared proof planchet intended for collector sets. This is the kind of minting error that turns a regular coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure. Because silver planchets hadn't been used for regular quarters since 1964, any coin minted in 1981 that ends up on a silver blank would have been a freak accident, a mistake that should have never happened, but it did. And this rare error coin ended up in the hands of a sharp-eyed collector who immediately noticed something strange. The coin looked different. It had a brighter, shinier surface. It lacked the usual copper-colored edge that all clad quarters have. And when weighed on a digital scale, it came in heavier than a normal copper-nickel coin, around 6.25 grams, which matches the weight of a silver quarter. Further testing confirmed the unbelievable truth. The coin was real. It was struck in Philadelphia in 1981, but on a leftover silver planchet. And it was in nearly perfect condition. It was graded Mint State 68, an incredibly high grade, especially for a coin that wasn't intended to be special. Because of the unique minting error, the historical significance, and the near-perfect condition, the coin became a sensation in the numismatic world. When it was auctioned at a private event, the final price tag reached an astonishing $1.5 million. Now let's talk about how to identify one of these coins. Because yes, there may be more out there. Start by weighing your coin. A standard 1981 P Washington quarter made of copper-nickel should weigh about 5.67 grams. But a silver quarter weighs closer to 6.25 grams. It's a small difference, but enough to catch if you have a sensitive digital scale. Next, look at the edge. Most clad quarters have a visible copper stripe around the rim. If your coin appears to be solid silver all the way through, that's a major red flag in a good way. Also, pay attention to luster and shine. Coins struck on silver planchets or proof blanks often look brighter, or have a mirror-like finish that stands out from the usual business strike. And of course, check for unusual design sharpness. A coin with extremely crisp detail and no visible signs of where may have come from a specially prepared die, which is common in proofs or high-grade errors. If you find a 1981 P quarter that looks or feels different, do not spend it. Set it aside immediately and get it professionally evaluated. Services like PCGS and NGC are trusted names in coin authentication. They will examine the coin, determine its authenticity, assign a grade, and seal it in a tamper-proof case. This certification is essential if you want to sell the coin or include it in a high-value collection. Now, even if you don't find a silver strike, there are other valuable varieties of the 1981 P quarter that collectors look for. There are known double die varieties from this year, especially on the obverse side. This happens when the coin is struck more than once by the die, causing the letters or details on Washington's face to appear doubled. Check for doubling in the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Another rare variety is the off-center strike, where the design is visibly misaligned. The more off-center it is, especially if the date remains visible, the more valuable it becomes. Then there are struck-through errors, where foreign objects or grease interfere with the strike and leave behind unusual textures or missing details. Any of these minting errors, if dramatic and in good condition, can command prices ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars. So let's summarize. The 1981 P Washington quarter is a common coin in circulation. But among those hundreds of millions minted, there are a few, or maybe even just one, that was struck on a silver or proof planchet in error. These extremely rare versions can be worth massive amounts of money. One of them, in near-perfect condition, reportedly sold for an incredible $1.5 million. You could have one of these coins right now and not even know it. So before you cash in that jar of quarters or pay with change, take a second look. Weigh it. Check the edge. Examine the luster. If anything looks or feels off, it could be worth getting it checked out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare coins, unbelievable finds, and how to spot hidden treasures in your own home, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or think you might be sitting on something valuable. I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep checking your change, trust your instincts, and happy collecting. If you want help turning this into a voiceover script with visual cues, timestamps, or even background music recommendations, just let me know. Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors, history buffs, and treasure hunters. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about and controversial coins in recent times, the 1995 D Washington quarter dollar. Rumors have been swirling that a rare version of this coin sold for a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. But is it true? What's the real story behind this coin? Is there a secret variety? And most importantly, could you have one in your pocket change right now? Stay tuned, because you might just be sitting on a fortune. Segment 1. History of the Washington quarter. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932, originally designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse features the familiar left-facing bust of Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Over the years, the design has undergone several updates, including the state quarters program that began in 1999. But in 1995, we were still looking at the classic eagle reverse, the standard issue for decades. Segment 2. The 1995 D quarter overview. Now, let's talk about the 1995 D Washington quarter. The D mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, one of the U.S. Mint's primary coin production facilities. That year, the Denver Mint struck over 1.1 billion quarters. Yes, billion with a B. So on the surface, the 1995 D quarter seems like a very common coin, and in most cases, it is. Most 1995 D quarters you find today are worth face value, just 25 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, they're typically worth $1 or $2, maybe $5 if it's pristine and graded high. So how on earth can anyone claim one is worth $1.3 million? Segment 3. The $1.3 million claim. This is where things get interesting. The story about a 1995 D quarter selling for $1.3 million has circulated online through articles, social media posts, and clickbait videos. These posts often show images of ordinary 1995 quarters with bold headlines claiming they're ultra-rare and worth millions. But here's the truth. There is no officially documented sale of a 1995 D Washington quarter for $1.3 million. The most respected coin auction houses, like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, have never recorded a sale even remotely close to that figure for this coin. So where did this number come from? Most likely, it's a result of misinformation. Some online articles tend to mix up coin errors, rare varieties, and wishful thinking to generate viral content. They throw around big numbers and pretend that every old coin is potentially a gold mine. That said, not all 1995 D quarters are worthless. In fact, some rare varieties and mint errors can be worth serious money. Segment 4. Rare varieties and errors to look for. So, let's shift gears and talk about what actually makes a 1995 D quarter valuable. Number 1. Mint errors. These are mistakes made during the coin's production process. For example, if a 1995 D quarter was struck off-center, double-struck, or struck on the wrong planchet, such as a dime or foreign coin blank, then it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another potential moneymaker is a die clash, where images from the obverse and reverse dies are struck onto the wrong side of the coin. This kind of dramatic visual error can increase value significantly. Number 2. High-grade coins. Collectors and investors pay a premium for coins in top condition. A 1995 D quarter graded MS67 or higher by a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC can be worth over $100 or more, depending on the market. While that's nowhere near 1.3 million, it's still a big leap from face value. Number 3. Unconfirmed varieties. There's always the possibility that a previously unknown variety could be discovered, a doubled die, a unique die crack, or an experimental strike. If that happens, and the variety is verified by experts and given a designation, then it could be the start of a rare and valuable subgroup. But as of now, no such ultra-rare 1995 D variety has been certified. Segment 5. How to check your coins now, you're probably wondering. How do I know if I have a valuable 1995 D quarter? Here are a few steps you can take. First, check the coin's condition. If it looks brand new, with no wear, no scratches, and a bright luster, it might be worth grading. Second, use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to look for any doubling in the lettering, numbers, or Liberty inscription. That could indicate a doubled die. Third, check for mint errors. Look at the edges, alignment, and even the weight of the coin. If it looks strange or unusual, it could be worth more. And finally, if you think your coin might be rare or valuable, send it to a professional grading service. They can authenticate and grade it, giving you a much better idea of its real market value. Segment 6. Final thoughts. The truth about the 1995 D quarter. So, what's the final verdict? Is there a 1995 D Washington quarter worth $1.3 million? As of today, no confirmed or documented sale of that magnitude has ever occurred for this coin. Most 1995 D quarters are worth just 25 cents. Some in pristine condition or with dramatic mint errors may be worth a few $100s, maybe even a few thousand in extreme cases. The $1.3 million story is likely a myth, or at best, a massive exaggeration. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't check your change. Valuable coins are still out there. And the thrill of the hunt is half the fun. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and who knows, the next great discovery might just be sitting in your pocket. Outro. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more deep dives into coin collecting, rare finds, and numismatic mysteries, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Have you found any interesting quarters lately? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear about your discoveries. Until next time, happy hunting and keep flipping those coins. Would you like a shorter version for TikTok or YouTube Shorts? Or a thumbnail title and description to go with this?